Well, let me welcome you to Chat with Matt. I try to find the speakers to entertain you who have something important to say. Wendy Ellin came on my radar screen several weeks ago, and we've been talking, and I think what she's going to be talking to you about is just vitally important. It wasn't all that long ago that most people were working in offices. I've had the joy of working from home for over 20 years, so it wasn't new to me. My son has had an office that ended up being a traffic area, and he had to move his office because people were running through all the time, and he couldn't concentrate. So I'm well aware of all the issues involved, and I think Wendy's going to have a nice conversation with us about how to avoid the pitfalls from working from home. Wendy is, I'm going to have Wendy do her own 90-second announcement. That's one of the things we traditionally do. I've been introduced many times, and my introduction always makes me cringe a bit. So I'm going to let Wendy do hers, and then we're going to start our conversation about how to stay organized, how to master how you work, no matter where you work, and even in the office. I know Wendy will share some stories from when she worked in an actual office. So Wendy, why don't you take it away and get us started here by introducing yourself to the group.
Thanks, Matt. I'm Wendy Ellin. I am a workplace productivity consultant, an international speaker, and a #1 best-selling author of Working from Home, How's That Working for You? I have been in this productivity space for 21 years. I left corporate America in 2000, and I am 100% committed to teaching busy, disorganized professionals how to set up systems so that they can really have radical productivity, sustainable performance, and peace of mind. I believe that productivity, performance, and peace of mind all go hand in hand. And so thank you for having me. This is just what I invite you all to do is to really keep an open mind as to looking at the way you operate in your workplace environment, no matter where that is, whether you go to an office every day, whether you work from home, whether you have a hybrid situation. It's not about the where, it's not about the who you work for, it's not about the what you do. It's about the how you do it, because we are all in control of how we operate in our environment, in our physical environment, in our technology environment, in our spiritual environment, in our mindset. We get to choose. So I would like to invite you to think about, where are there places where the way you're operating doesn't serve you well?
Good. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your background before you were doing this?
So I was raised in a family of 5 kids, and my mother, it was a blended family. So my mom had 2 kids and got divorced and married a man who had 3 kids. So together we were 5, and the ages at the time, my mother was 28 years old, and she had 5 children, ages 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So you can imagine what that was like. I know, Kevin, you're shaking your head. Trust me. It was nuts in my house. And really the one word to describe what the upbringing was the #1 word was rules. Like, we had rules for everything. We had rules for bathroom time, sleeping, weekends, dressing, dating, eating, you name it. And so I literally was raised in a very tight ship, as you could imagine. Yeah. And then I grow up and I go to corporate America. I went to college, I got jobs. I was in the advertising business for many years. And I literally watched the way people operated in the workplace. I was enamored by how disorganized most people were, despite how successful they were. And I thought, can you imagine how much more successful they could be if they were organized?
Yeah, I worked with somebody at CBS, and she had piles and piles and piles of computer printouts. And at one point, she became ill and took a leave of absence for like 2 weeks. And my coworker and I went through her entire office and threw out just about everything because we weren't sure she was coming back. And she came back to the office and looked around and said, "Oh, that was it."
Oh, right. So
There was nothing there that needed to be kept, but there wasn't even room to turn around.
Right. So here's the thing, guys. I don't never want to make anybody wrong for the way they live, right? You know, we just didn't learn these skills. These skills I learned early on, and they stayed with me, and I saw the benefit of them. But so I never want to make anybody wrong for the way they live, nor do I ever want to put a round peg in a square hole. If what you're doing is working, then keep doing it. But if the way you're working isn't working, I have some really good, easy, attainable systems that I teach that if you follow them, they work. You know, no system works unless you work it. But it's got to be easy enough for you to stick with long enough to reap the benefits.
So how did you get started? Did you get some large assignment somehow?
No, I left corporate America. I literally came home one day and said to my husband, "I'm done. I can't do it anymore." The environment was so toxic. I was working for ABC Disney at a radio station that they owned, and I just was done. I didn't know what I was going to do. I knew that I didn't think I ever wanted to own a business, and I never wanted to go back to school. I knew that. But I knew that I had a gift, and that was getting things done in a way that served me well. I watched the way I ran my own life, and I realized that I was always efficient. I found myself never looking for things because I always knew where things were because I had a place for everything and I put it back when I was done. And I literally created a business from this. I bought a business. Somebody came to me and said, "Oh my God, there's a business for sale. I think you should buy it." I said, "I don't want to buy a business." They said, "You really need to consider this, Wendy. It's right up your alley. It's called the 25th hour. It's a personal concierge service. If you need an extra hour in your day, you hire me and I run your life." As it turns out, I actually bought that business for nothing. And I started running people's very busy, crazy, wealthy, busy people's lives. And I hated it because all I was doing was enabling them to live like train wrecks, right? They didn't need to do anything. They were paying me to do everything. And I finally realized about 5 years into it, if I could teach you how to live differently, you don't need to pay me to run your life. You can run your own damn life. And that's when I flopped the model of my business and created a PowerPoint around how I operated and went into organizations through the legal departments because my husband's a lawyer and he had connections in all the big corporations within the legal departments. So I got in through legal. I got all my trainings to be CLE approved. So you get continuing legal education credits. And I'm also approved in the financial industry. So if somebody goes through my workshop or my training, you can get CE credits for this work. And my business has taken off ever since. I've been on a international stage for the last 7 years until COVID. I've written 2 books, co-authored 2 other books. And I just recently created a program called Wendy Ellin's 3P Academy, which is a toolbox that fuels productivity, performance, and peace of mind, that is now living on a technology platform so that anybody in any organization can access this content.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah. Really great. So I'm scaling my business to make a bigger impact.
You're making it possible for people to learn without from the materials you've developed, I gather.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm not exchanging my time for money as much as I was because there's just so many hours in a day I can do that. I still do the coaching and the workshops and the speaking, but if you want your organization of 500 people to have this content, they can just go through the learning journey.
So how does someone get started? What are the, when you're, I assume you do, you go in and meet with someone and you sort of qualify the customer. You find out what their big issues are.
What are your problems? What's got you stuck? Is it email? Is it paper clutter? Is it over scheduling yourself and not being able to honor your word about what you say you're going to do? Is it procrastination, perfectionism, multitasking? There's all these issues that relate to people being disorganized, and I tackle a lot of them. The first one being the mindset about it, right? I mean, the bottom line is this: Kevin is not going to do something different unless there's something in it for him. Now, the in it for him could be he'll sleep better, he'll make more money, he won't waste as much time, and he'll get the same amount of work done in less time, so he has more time to do other things. He won't be in a struggle with a relationship because that person might be organized and he's not. He could be raising children that are watching his behavior. There are a million reasons why people do this. I think the biggest reason is for peace of mind. I like knowing when I go to bed every night that when I turn my light off, my head turns off and I'm not laying in bed thinking of all the things that dropped through the cracks today because I forgot to do them. Yeah. So that's really the bottom line is where's the biggest pain point is the question.
So what do you find is the major pain point? Is it email or is it, years ago, I always said the biggest two time wasters in the world were setting up spreadsheets and looking for things. And once Excel came in, of course, setting up spreadsheets became much easier. But there's a lot of people in this world, they're just constantly spending time looking for things.
Yeah, of course they are. Yeah. Not only physical things, but electronic. So when you ask about email, look, you guys, email's never going away. No time soon. And if it is, it's only going to be replaced with something else that's going to take up our time and attention. So my theory about email is if I ask everybody on this call, show of hands, how many of you feel like you come in every day and you're drowning in email and you don't see any end in sight? Most people raise their hand. Okay.
You better believe it.
The two things I have to say about that. Number one, we can't stop the emails from coming in. They're coming into all our email inboxes as we speak. We know that. But number two, you don't have control of how much comes in, but you have control over everything once it comes in. So what do you do about it? That's the question, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's those types of things that I get people to really investigate in their own life. What am I doing in my email inbox? Why am I not able to feel like I have control over it? Why do I have 30,000 emails, everything that I had in since it started 25 years ago, right? Or how come I keep cleaning it out and it keeps coming back? Those are the issues that, a lot of the struggles that people have.
Do you have a process that you suggest for managing email?
That's do.
One of the big things. I have my own process. I get a lot of spam. And I have a lot of messages that I'm not planning to do anything with. And
so here's what I'm going to do. I have a process. If you want the process, because it's going to be easier for me to send you the two really, really easy, digestible one sheets that walk you through on how you get your email inbox to zero and how you keep it that way, email me at Wendy at wendyellin.com. And that goes for everybody that's listening to this call whenever you're listening. If you want the handout on how you get your inbox to zero and keep it that way, I'm putting it out there that 150,000 people are going to respond to me, unlikely, but however many there are, Wendy at wendyellin.com. We can put that in the chat.
It was it. You can rest assured it was in the meeting announcement.
Right. Okay. And I'm
trying to make our speakers easy to contact.
Right. So I'm going to send that to you. And in the subject line, put inbox to zero cheat sheets. Okay. Then I'll know as soon as that comes in, I see inbox to zero cheat sheets, I send them to you.
Okay. Did you want to give us some elements of the tips you're providing?
On the inbox?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the first thing
just to whet our curiosity here.
All right. Well, the first thing you're going to do, because you want to delete, okay, no matter what your number is, you want to get rid of the crap. And the easiest way to get rid of the crap is to sort by sender. Okay. You're going to sort by sender. It's going to alphabetize your emails. In round one, you're going to go down from A to Z and you're going to delete the emails you don't need. So let's say you get to Ashley Smith and there are 570 emails from Ashley Smith, and Ashley Smith doesn't even work in your organization anymore. You're going to get rid of all of Ashley Smith's emails in one delete button. Okay. You're going to go down, you're going to get rid of all the Groupons, all the Travelocities, all the subscriptions that you don't even ask for that you keep getting every day, all the crap that you don't need. Because when you sort by sender and you delete that way, you're going to cut that number in your inbox in half, at least. You don't even know what you don't know.
Some people, senior people in organizations who get copied on everything, this would be a great strategy for them.
Absolutely. That's number one, is just getting rid of the crap. Right?
I'd be interested in your comments. I set my Outlook so that things don't open for a minute. I can rest on a message and it won't open for 60 seconds. So if I see that it's spam, I delete it. and then I go to my deleted folder, and everything that isn't opened, I can delete easily.
Yeah. Here's what I say about whatever you do, Matt. And I'm going to say this to everybody. If it works for you, then keep doing it. I don't share my opinions on whether I think what you do is right or wrong, because it works for you. And that's all that matters. I want you to stick with what works for you. We don't want to make this any harder than it already has to be, right?
So what do you do? What do you do with text messages? They drive me crazy. We have several methods of people contacting us. We have the phone, we have email, and we now have text messages.
I don't do anything with a text message. Most of the people that text me, I keep the thread so that when I want to go back to text them, I can. But if I get a text that I don't want, these days, oh my God, the more political texts I've gotten because we voted this week and here in Georgia, I hit the word stop every time. Every single time I hit the word stop.
Okay.
Every time, if you just type the word stop, every single one of those texts that you don't want, they unsubscribe you automatically. But you have to type the word stop. Mark, do you have a question? Feel free to unmute. Go ahead.
I do. I want to go back to I want to come back to the text also, but I want to go back to your suggestion on email and sort by sender and just delete. For all the newsletter subscriptions that I get that I don't know how I got on their list in the first place, certainly never subscribed. Do you recommend just deleting them every time or unsubscribing first? Because I've been actively unsubscribing from all this crap.
Well, I say, here's a challenge for everybody on this call. For the next 5 days, I want you to unsubscribe to 5 emails. Okay?
Well, I'll get that done today.
Okay.
It's already met your goal.
Yeah. But yes, the answer is if you don't want to get it anymore, then unsubscribe to it, and it will take a little while for them to stop coming, but they will stop coming.
I also want to. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
No, Mark, continue.
I wanted to come back to the text thing for a second and let you guys know that I received a very important text from Speaker Pelosi the other day.
Really?
Yes.
I don't know how they get your cell phone number, but more things are coming into cell phone
because they own the CIA and the NSA. But I'm afraid to hit reply stop because I'm afraid then they think they've got an active number.
I hit stop all the time, and you immediately get an automatic response saying you're unsubscribed.
Even if they don't offer that as an option in the text.
Yes.
Yeah. Apparently.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right.
I don't want to offer you. It's like you'll notice when you go to unsubscribe to some things, it's really hard to find the unsubscribe button.
Oh yeah, I know.
Oh yeah, they put it in very faint type on email.
Totally.
They make it hard. Peggy, did you have something you wanted to add here? You're muted, Peggy.
I don't even see Peggy. Okay, there she is.
I'm here. My question is there a secret way? Because there are a few, like I'm on some of these sort of newslettery things where people ask, can I be on? And there is no place to unsubscribe. How do you unsubscribe? I mean, you could write them a letter, but if it's somebody you've met personally and you said, oh, sure, you can put it on and now you realize it's useless, you really don't want to alienate yourself from them. Is there any way to unsubscribe without doing that? Is there something?
Create a rule in Outlook that forwards them to your deleted mail folder.
You can do that if you want, or you can be really nice and where you can, I always say, look, I'm really efficient with my email and I don't want to get anything else. I don't want to get anything that doesn't really require my attention. I appreciate it being unsubscribed. People don't care. They're not going to.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, people you don't want to hear from.
That's where I want people to just be damn honest. You don't want the email and it's okay. I'm not going to make you wrong. If you don't want my subscription, I don't want you to have it. Right?
So what other issues would you do you start people with?
A lot of people have paper clutter. The world still has paper. I always say when the mailman stops delivering mail, we can consider ourselves paperless, and that's not going to happen. But I still have paper in my life. But my theory is if I'm going to straddle the paper/technology world and looking at everyone on this call, I'm going to guess that every single one of us does that. They straddle the paper/technology world. Mark, Jeff, Linda, Chip, Peggy, Matt, and Wendy all have paper in their life. Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
So I have probably more than most people, and I watched one of your videos, and everything has to have a place. So there are things that I print, but I immediately file them.
Right.
I need copies of things to keep the like the text thread. If I feel I need to print things, invoices and such, I just immediately file them. I don't keep them on my desk.
That's because you're an overachiever. Listen, it works for you, it works for me, right? I've gotten less and less paper over the years. It's just easier for me to keep things electronic. Hey guys, here's the thing. Most of the paper you have, you printed from your computer. Think about it, right? Stop printing. Or print it if you need to read it and then throw it out. You have it on your computer, most likely. We don't get that much mail. Nobody gets that much mail that they have piles and piles of stuff, right? So it's really a mindset. It's really deciding that that less is more, and that you don't want to keep paper because you just don't need to carry that around with you in your life at this point. And I only have X amount of paper, and I've collected less and less and less. You know, I used to keep every single doctor bill. I can call whatever doctor I need to call. They can send me whatever I need. There's no one out there that won't send you what you need. I remember years ago, when we were doing our taxes, I said to Marty, did you do the taxes yet? And he'd say, yeah. And I go, but you don't understand. I have all the prescriptions that I bought from CVS for the last year. He said, I made a phone call and I got all of them. You don't need to keep them. Like, you can get on your bank and get anything you want these days. There's nothing that's not electronic.
Well, that is true. There are things.
I agree with that, but I take a slightly different approach. I scan everything. I'd much rather at any point in time know that I have it than worry about who I need to call. God forbid I pick up a telephone. But I agree. It all goes, if it comes in the mail, it goes straight to the scanner and then the shredder.
Right.
Right. A lot of it comes electronically, so it goes straight to PDF and then into my electronic files.
Right. One of the biggest problems that most of my clients have is over scheduling themselves every day, acting as if we have 36 hours in a day. And then at the end of the day, we're defeated, right? So I have 3 rules of thumb for how I get my work done. And every single day I come into my office and I ask myself 3 questions. The first question is, what must be done today? Must. Okay. Now, if I look at my calendar for today, I had a meeting this morning, a brainstorming session with a client and her team from 10 to 1. It must be done. It's on the calendar. I committed to it. I had a 1:30 phone call that I had to do for 15 minutes. I had a 3:30 phone call that I had to do for 15 minutes. And I have this session right now. But in between those phone calls, I got in my car and I ran over to the cell phone repair guy to come to pick up my phone because the whole back of the phone broke last week. Okay. I didn't have to do that. It wasn't a must do. It fell into the next category, which I asked myself is, what could be done today? Right.
Targets of opportunity.
So I have must do, have to do, committed to it. Then I add in the could do's, whatever I can fit in. But the most important thing is I ask myself, what will be done this week? Not today, this week. So I come in every Monday and I look at my week as a 5-day window. My goal is to spread this week's work across 5 days, not try and get everything on my to-do list done today, because that's not going to happen. What do I need to get done? Must get done today. But I love when Friday comes and I get to go into my weekend feeling like I earned it. I got so much done this week. When I look at my calendar, it's astounding. I got all my must-dones. I got a lot of coulds done. And I will have gotten done everything that needs to get done this week by tomorrow. And I'm going to end the week, or I'm going to end tomorrow early because it's a long weekend. I'm cutting out at 2:00. I don't have to, but I am.
So it's a matter of making sure you categorize all the things you have on your list, really setting a priority.
And I don't have a to-do list. I have a to-do system.
I like that.
And the system is either paper or it's email. And the email system you're going to learn, and the paper system, you're just going to have to read my book because it takes way too long to walk you through that. But remember, everything I do has a system that I follow, right? I put 3 block times on my calendar every week. Okay. 3 block times. What is a block time? A block time is a 90-minute session where I don't look at my phone, I don't look at my email, and I'm just getting work done. And no interruptions. I let the phone ring. I don't look at the email, and I'm just getting 90 minutes worth of work done. And whatever the work is that I have to do to honor my word and deliver what I say I'm going to, it's usually a PowerPoint or a proposal, or I'm coaching someone.
Yeah, I have my email set so that I have to manually run it. Because I would think most people have it just constantly coming in, and it's distracting.
Yeah.
To your point, your block of time, if you're working on something, you've blocked out the time, and email starts coming in, you're going to get distracted by it.
Well, not only that, but here's my theory about that. If I stop every time something comes into me to handle that, I've essentially checked off everybody else's to-do list by the end of the day and not mine. And as that's, and as I say, how's that working for you? I don't want to do that. I don't want to check everybody else's. Remember, when someone says they need something, they don't really need it now. They just want to check it off of their list.
You don't really think about those things, but yes, that's true. They're
That's
just trying
the
to
way
get their
I
list
think about this whole topic, Matt. That is the way I think about this whole topic, is really get into the minds of, I've been working, we've all been working for a long time. Think about some of the behaviors. When's the last time anybody said to you, I needed ASAP, that really needed it? No, they don't. They just want to get it off their plate.
Yeah, a lot of things come in just before holiday weekends because people are clearing their desk.
Okay, what else you got for me?
Well, you might want to elaborate on the kinds of issues that disorganization causes for your clients. Maybe you can give us some examples.
I had a client whose boss called me and said, this guy's about to lose his job. Okay. He's an attorney, and Publix is his biggest account, and Publix is not happy. He doesn't return phone calls. He's unresponsive. He's not delivering when he says he's going to, and he's a mess. And I need you to really set him up, because otherwise we're taking him off this account. And I went in there, and it took a couple of months that I worked with him, and we literally chipped away at the clutter that was overwhelming. And we chipped away at the email inbox, which was overwhelming. And we got him on a system, and we got him to the point where he was actually able to meet his commitments. And he was clued into it. He was focused. I always talk about how people are living accidentally, not intentionally. Stop living accidentally, right? I live intentionally. I know exactly what I want every day to look like. And if I envision it before it happens, I have a much better shot at it looking that way.
Very nice.
What else? I have clients that are afraid to take a sick day because they're afraid that no one's going to be able to find anything in their absence in their office. I never heard of anything as crazy, but that is the case with one of my clients. I have clients who are, they think they don't like their job. So they're brainstorming what they could do differently. And the bottom line is, it's not that they don't like their job. They don't like the way they're doing their job. What if I could get you to do your job in a way that you actually like what you do? I don't have any stress around the way I operate. I have this crazy big business, this life that's got me doing a million different things. I have one-on-one coaching. I'm speaking on a stage virtually and in person. I'm running workshops. I'm introducing the Wendy Ellin's 3P Academy. I've got 2 books I'm out there promoting. I have no stress about the moving parts because I got control of them. And we all have all these moving parts in our life. Right?
It's all, and to your point, it's all a matter of staying organized.
Staying on top of it, not being stressed out, not trying to be 100%. That's the other thing. I am the 80% organized girl. 80% organized is good enough, right? No more.
Okay.
No more. It's that you can't get to perfection. There is no such thing as 100%.
Yeah, new things keep coming in.
Right? So I'm 80%, and all I'm looking for my clients is just be 80% organized. Just do 80%. That's good enough.
So how does someone, how do you get someone started on this? You've now identified, for example, this person you were discussing, I'm assuming they knew they weren't organized.
The guy from Publix?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, guys. I won't work with anyone that doesn't want this as much for themselves as I want it for them. So if you're not in as much as I'm in, it's never going to work. I'm going to swim upstream and my arms are going to get tired. So the first question when I'm talking to people is, you know, what's in it for you? What do you want? What do you want your life to look like in 3 months, 6 months from now? Right? What are you not getting now or feeling now that you want to feel or you want to accomplish in 3 months, 6 months? I don't work with anyone that's less than 3 months, ever. And I get them to really start envisioning what their life could look like because they're organized. They get more time with their family. They can maybe work, you know, a lot of us are entrepreneurs. Why can't we decide we're only going to work 4 days a week? Why can't we have a 3-day weekend every week? You could if you worked it, right? I can do that.
No, I agree, Wendy, I agree with your point. You can't help people until they want help.
Right. And then once they want help, the question is, what does that help look like? And normally I know they're sharing with me that their inbox is stressing them out, their paper. I work a lot now with people who are trying to figure out where is the best place within the house that they live in to work. And I go there if I can, or if it's remote, they are literally FaceTiming me and walking me through every single room, every single space. And I'm like, well, no, back up a minute. Go back in that room. I see something that they don't see. And I say to them, okay, this is the room. Out of all the rooms you showed me, this is the room. This is what I recommend you do. And, you know, sometimes it means ordering an inexpensive desk that you mount to the wall and you pull a chair up and it becomes your office, but you have a door, whatever. But a lot of people don't have that skill of really figuring out where's the best place in the house. Look, when this whole thing happened and I saw Marty on March 16th back up his convertible into my driveway, I said, what are you doing? And he looked at me funny. He goes, what do you think I'm doing? I'm moving home like the rest of the world. And I thought, oh shit, this is how it's going to affect me. Here, I'd been working at home for 21 years, easy peasy, Ruby and I doing our thing. I'm uber productive. I'm not distracted. And now I got this other human that's bouncing back and forth from room to room. He goes from the kitchen counter to the dining room table to the screened-in porch. Finally, I'm like, dude, pick a room. I don't care what it is. Just pick one and stay there. And I said to him, let's get a cheap writing desk and put it upstairs in the sitting area outside our bedroom. And he looked at me and said, we're not going to spend money on this. It's not going to last. Famous last words. By July, we got a writing desk.
2 years later.
And he's upstairs writing, working out of that space. Easy. He's upstairs. I don't hear him. He doesn't hear me. And it works, but it took a while, even for me. But, you know, part of that is, in the beginning of all that is, if you got clutter, if you've got a lot of clutter in your house, you have got to get rid of that before you can try and set yourself up for success. You have got to get rid of the crap you don't need. Really, really got to do that. That's the key. You know, I always talk about how I have the most Zen home on the planet. I love my office where I work. I love the space I live in because I set it up that way. You know, every single one of us moved into an empty space. So whatever we're living amongst right now is what we created. And if it's not working, we can certainly recreate it. But I always said, I want my house to create joy, not jobs. I don't want to look in a corner and go, oh, I got to take care of that. And look on the other corner and go, I got to take care of that. I want to literally walk in my house, kick off my shoes, sit on my sofa and rub my dog's underbelly. I want my space to create joy. And most people don't, because they don't even know that's a possibility. They just keep collecting and collecting and collecting and not making choices. And before you know it, there's crap everywhere.
Yeah, well, I think that's what happens. Things just accumulate over time. It's like if you move from your house after 20 years, you can't believe all the stuff you've accumulated. But it's easier to just throw it in the attic or put it in a corner, and you don't even see it anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that happens with your office too, you know, just kind of is there.
Oh, yeah.
And each day you're too busy to actually reorganize it.
Right. There's piles that you don't even have to do anything with anymore. You just haven't found a permanent home for them. Right. It's like everything has a permanent home.
Well, I always feel they've found a permanent home. I don't want to take the blame for having put them there.
No blame. No one's wrong for doing this. They just haven't learned these skills. Right.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, I'm so committed to making an impact in the world about this topic because the world is suffering. And, you know, now within organizations, most companies don't know what they don't know around this because employees are not raising their hand and saying to their boss, I'm a mess. I'm disorganized. I need help. So I'm trying to help uncover the problem for organizations to say, do you have any idea how many of your people could really use this toolbox? No. Have you ever asked? No. How about maybe you want to, or better yet, don't ask. Assume that everybody needs one of the tools in the toolbox and offer it as a benefit to your employees. Let your employees have this tool so that you can actually get them engaged in their work, not looking for another job, liking what they do, and giving you their best work.
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the things that that is different today is with everybody working from home. It's not visible. If you're the boss, you don't, and people might have their cameras on, but they blur their background. You don't know who's really being organized and who isn't.
Right.
Before, I used to spend a lot of time back in the office walking around and seeing people, and you knew who wasn't organized.
Right. Of course.
Now, I think that's kind of hidden from view, isn't it?
Yeah. And most people are not going to talk about it. Look, they're not going to talk about their email inbox that stresses them out. They're going
Well, they may not even know they have a problem.
Right. Of course. That's, you know, hey, and that's the thing. So I'm working with talking to a lot of organizations, names you guys all know, to say, let's start out with offering this to your leadership team. Let's engage with 100, 150 people and get them to go through this content to see what's available, to then scale this to everybody. Because you owe it to your employees to give them all the tools they need to be successful.
Sure, if they were in the office, they'd have a desk, they'd have a bookcase, they'd have file cabinets that they needed.
Yeah, even if they're coming in half-time. You know, everyone's freaking out about the whole hybrid thing. Well, I don't think the full-time going to the office is ever coming back anytime soon. This is going to be the way of the world. So now's the time to get it together.
Yeah, no, it's an unusual time. One of my observations about the world is that people only went to offices because that's where all the equipment was. And during the immediate leaving of the office, kind of took everybody by surprise how efficient and effective it was.
Right.
They were in the office every day, but they were actually in the office. When they were in the office, they were actually accessing everything they needed remotely. And but it didn't dawn on anybody.
Right.
I'm talking about mostly financial people who are accessing accounting systems. They were tapping in, and all the systems were in the cloud anyway, but they were just in the office accessing them. Now from home, they could do the same thing, and they lost their 3-hour commute round trip.
But we don't know how they live. That's the key, right?
Right. Everyone doesn't have sadly, everyone doesn't have a space to set up.
Exactly. So that's really important to find out who needs what and to give them what they need.
Yeah. Peggy and I actually, during COVID, had to rearrange where she was at her office because she was right above me. And now suddenly on Zoom all the time, the noise was unbearable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, even so, Marty's upstairs and every once in a while he'll come down and he'll go, can you talk lower? And part of it is, you know, I'm talking to somebody in California. I think I have to scream. And he's like, can you talk?
Not easy to be heard in California, you know.
Right.
Big mountains in the way, you know, terrible. It's terrible. So what are some of the tools you recommend? I gather what the services you offer are offered to entire organizations. You were talking a little bit about how you got that started or how you would get that started. by offering it to the leadership team, and then hopefully it would trickle down?
Listen, I think all this stuff starts at the top always, right? I think that if you can employ these skills and these tools, then you kind of have a right to ask other people to do the same. If you're a mess, if the CEO is a mess, it's going to be really hard to convince others to not be. But and everybody can benefit from it. Everybody. So put the leaders through the journey, right? And then roll it out to the rest of the employees. It's a 12-week program, 8 to 12-week program. It's not long. You do it at your leisure. You take one tool on, you implement it. You stick with it for a week. It starts to feel good. You take the second tool on, and then you just keep doing that until you literally use this toolbox that will completely transform your life. I've seen it. I've literally seen it over the 21 years I'm doing this work. People are working differently. They're less stressed out. They like their job. It's the one thing when you interview someone for a job, very few people have ever, in all the interviews I've had all my life, no one has ever asked me if I'm organized. No one.
That's interesting.
No one. And if I would, and if it's the first thing I ask when I'm interviewing people, and if they're not, they don't work for me. They can't work with me.
Well, they would drive you nuts.
Totally. But still, it's amazing. And if they aren't, they're not going to say they aren't. Who's going to say I'm disorganized? They know they're not going to get the job. So they say they're organized. Then they get in and they're a mess. It's a topic that nobody wants to talk about. And I want to stir the pot. I want to get out there and stir the pot and say to these organizations, you have an opportunity here. Be the corporation that offers this to your employees. Be the one, right? What's going to stand you apart from all the other financial companies that are out there? You offering a toolbox, a really critical, important toolbox that's going to give your people productivity, performance, and peace of mind. And they're going to actually stay at this job. They're going to actually like their job. They're going to stay engaged.
Yeah. So how do I assess this organization in my own life? How do I identify what's being most disruptive?
Take my productivity assessment. You can email me that and I'll give it to you if you want. That's easy. Just email me again, wendy@wendyellin.com. Say productivity assessment in the subject line, and I'll send it to you. And what happens is when you go through this journey, you take the productivity assessment at the beginning, and at the end, you're invited to take it again to actually see if the numbers move. And it's just a list of 12 questions, and you're going to rate them between 1 and 10. 1 is you're a total train wreck. And 10 is you totally got this. And everybody lives somewhere in between. Right? And then you look at the numbers that are closest to the worst, and those are the ones you tackle first. So that's really how you just sort of take an assessment. And I asked you questions about, are you an on-time person? Does how do you deal with your email inbox? How do you deal with your paper? Are you a multitasker? How do you deal with interruptions? All those things that Mark Crowley, you're right on it, dude. All those things that speak to why people are disorganized.
Did we have something in the chat box we want to talk about?
No, Mark just immediately emailed me to say productivity assessment.
Oh, okay. He's a learner. He wants to improve. That's a good thing.
Yeah, well, it's like.
Not like the rest of you slackers.
Peggy, did you have a question?
I just wanted, your thoughts on the fact that as we live in a hybrid world, which we are living in, and I think will continue to, how do you get employers to understand that, that they have to, this is even more important now, because before everybody went to the office and maybe everything was there, it might have been disorganized, but if they needed something, it was there. Now they're not always in the office. They're in more than one place. And so I would think organization is even a bigger challenge, and a company would be more in need of making sure that people were always organized. What is your thinking?
Well, listen, you're preaching to the choir, Peg, because the reality of it is It's a conversation I'm having, several conversations every day with companies, big companies, Lululemon, Southern Company, Tenneco Oil, the American Cancer Society. I'm talking to big corporations to say, here's the thing, stop focusing so much on the where. It doesn't matter whether they come to the office or their home, because it matters how. And when you have systems, you can work them no matter where you are. That's number one. Number two, working in an office was way easier, because if people lived with a lot of clutter and chaos in their house, they got to leave that shit every day, right? And go to the office where there's some semblance of organization, at least in the space. Now they're living amongst other humans in their house, dogs, interruptions, maybe kids, maybe adult kids, right? We all have different circumstances. So I'm bringing it to the attention of these organizations. They're not coming to me with the problem because they don't even know they have the problem. I'm bringing this problem to their attention, and they're listening. All these companies care about culture, and they care about their people, and they care about wellness. You know what this falls under the category of? Wellness. Stress about the way you operate is wellness.
We seem to have lost Peggy somehow, but sure she'll be back. Well, we have a few more minutes. Questions from those of you who have joined us? Just unmute and ask away. Otherwise, Wendy and I are just going to keep talking.
Hey, listen, let me just say this. I love the fact that there's guys on this call, okay? I love the fact that there's guys on this call, because guys, for the most part, from my experience in training and speaking on a stage, are not willing to own that they have this issue, okay? Now, it's okay, not making you wrong for it. You can own whatever you want to own. But when I went and I spoke to Mass Mutual's top 150 advisors, and I stood on a stage and asked people to raise their hand if. Nobody was raising their hand. But when I walked off stage and was milling around the crowd, more than half the people slipped me their business card to say, I need you, call me. Okay. Yeah. The women are they're transparent. They're willing to own their shit. They will let you know they're disorganized or they're stressed out. The women have been doing that for years. Men, not so much. So I really love the fact and want to applaud you for just even being here to listen to this, because
it's great.
This is, you can do this.
So what haven't we covered, Wendy? What did you want to?
I think we covered everything. I think we really have.
I'll ask the question.
Go for it, Tim.
Please.
I don't know if I'm going to ask it the right way, but
don't worry.
How do you think about the limits of how productive a person can be by following your guidelines? Because everybody has some natural limit to how much they can kind of, I guess, absorb when it comes to these kinds of things. They have psychological reasons why they can't part with things. They have, some block against deleting emails, or I could list all sorts of things that I should do, and I know I should do, without you having to tell me that I don't do. Right. Mm-hmm. So where do you kind of decide this individual has sort of maxed out in terms of how productive they can make themselves?
Well, I normally know what's going on with the people that I'm working with, right? So if I'm working particularly with someone one-on-one, but even if you're going through this program, and by the way, even the organizations that are buying this product to put their 150 leaders through, they have one-on-one Wendy anyway. So there's lots of live Wendy involved in all this. It's very important that I have my hands on what people are doing for that particular reason, if they need one-on-one help. But I meet you where you're at and help you get to where you want to be. And if where you're at is you're really nervous about getting rid of emails, let me just say this. You get to decide what you get rid of, not me, right? If you say you don't want to get rid of any of your emails, I'll set you up that way. I'll try to convince you otherwise first. But I'm going to meet you where you are, and I'm going to get you where you want to be based on who you are and how you operate. Okay.
Okay.
Here's the thing. It's a fine line between I can't get rid of this because it means something to me, but I'm overwhelmed with the clutter. It's a fine line there, right? So if you're really truly overwhelmed with the clutter, we got to do something about the I need to hold on to it. And we inch our way in. Sometimes we get rid of things, sometimes we don't.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
But I'm really realistic. And I also really want to speak to who you are as a human and how you operate. And I am not going to, for the most part, change that. But if I make these systems easy enough and attainable enough and sustainable enough, which they are, I have a really good shot at you sticking with it. And here's the thing, you'll fall off the wagon like everybody else, right? That's where the 80% comes in. One day you're not going to follow your paper system and you're going to have a pile. Okay, the pile reminds you didn't file the system. Let's try it again.
Right. Okay.
Hope that helps. And you guys, if anyone's interested, if you want a free 30-minute strategy session and you want to just basically talk about a one-on-one experience or how I can help you any other way, just reach out to Wendy at wendyellin.com. You got my information. I'm more than happy to send you my calendar invite. Let's hop on a call. If this is something that you had, maybe you have a team you want to do a 90-minute workshop with. I mean, whatever you like to do, if you really want to get this help, I got you.
That's a very kind offer. Thank you.
Thank you
Totally
very much.
So as we're going into the last few minutes, any final questions for Wendy? Or Wendy, maybe you think you've thought of something that we didn't discuss. Can people really multitask? I've read some articles that it's not really true. What's your position on that?
They're not multitasking, they're switch tasking.
What's that?
They're switch tasking. That's what it is. They're on their phone, they stop their phone, they get on their computer, they're in the middle of an email, the phone rings, they pick it up, someone's standing at their door. They're switch tasking from task to task. Do people do it? All the time. Does it make you productive or efficient? Absolutely not.
Matt, can you let me in?
Sure.
I keep getting knocked off and I'm on my iPad, but I'm trying to get in on the computer. I'm sorry.
Don't worry.
I keep getting knocked off today and I don't know why.
So I don't know where you are. Oh, we have two of you. That's even better. Well, we only have a few more minutes left.
Okay. Listen, you guys can do this. If you really want to do this, if you want to take on one aspect of your life that you think could use improvement, you definitely can do this. It's not hard. Part of it is just making the commitment that you want to stop living out of your email inbox the way you have been, and you can do it.
Okay.
I think one of the big challenges is realizing that you do have a lot of clutter. You know, whether it's physical clutter or email clutter. Emotional
clutter. You know, how many of us walk around without writing things down, and we walk around all day thinking we're going to remember all the stuff we have to do? Hello, our head was not meant to do that. That's not its job.
You can only really work on one problem in a moment. You may have them on your list, but you have to be selective of what you're working on at the moment, because that's really all you can do is at the moment.
Right.
Is that part of would you agree with that strategy?
Yeah, we're only in the present, right? We're only right now. What can you do right now?
Well, I'd like to make one other observation, which is that even if I eliminated all the clutter around me, all the clutter I could control, there would still be uncontrollable clutter in the form of information that comes at me from every conceivable direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I have no idea how to prioritize it really, and how to, make one source of information the focus and commit completely to that. And that in itself is overwhelming.
Tim, get on a call with me, please. Okay.
Okay.
30 minutes of your time. Get on a call with me. I want to try and help you. And anyone else that wants to do this, okay? I need to know specifics, so I'm not going to get into it now, but get on a call with me. Just email me, wendy@wendyellin.com, and say, can we get on a call? And I'll send you my calendar link for whenever. You get to pick.
Okay.
All right, let's talk.
Very nice.
Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Peggy, did you think of another question? Peggy's very organized. She makes me throw a lot of stuff away.
Great.
Now she can't figure out how to unmute.
probably, it's all junk anyway, Matt. You should throw it away.
Yes,
Right.
I have, what I try to do is if I haven't used it in a few years, I probably should just throw it away.
Yes, he should, but you, as I'm sure a lot of people do, are like married to these things. I might need it someday. I had a father like that, and it made me crazy. And so I love to get rid of stuff. Actually, there's a catharsis when I get rid of something. I feel this, I mean, there's nothing better than taking something to Goodwill or to throwing out the garbage.
Yeah, but you never know when you're going to need it.
I'm not
you
worried
know
about
what?
it.
I
There-
remember once
agree.
I threw something away and then I needed it again.
I agree with Peggy on how good it feels, but I also agree with Matt. I hate to give it away and then next week have to buy it again.
Yeah.
You know, but if you buy it next week, guess what? It's good, a little different than what you had. If you had something that you've had for
Yeah,
5 years,
I'm less
it's
cash.
not quite the same.
You know what, you
I think you
guys,
need to do
it's
is-
not about the things or the money. It's all about the joy. You got to go there. You just got to know that it's really about the joy in our life. And the older we get, the less we want to cart around with us. And, you know, I really also have this theory about there are so many people in need in the world that can use things that I don't, that I'd rather to go to Goodwill and to give away things that I don't use or don't find joy in is a gift.
I agree.
There are a lot of white elephants in the world.
You bet.
You just,
So,
you think something is of value, but if you're never using it,
Doesn't
what's
matter.
the point? It just is creating clutter, and there's really a limited amount of, unless you live in this huge big mansion and it's just two people, you're going to be pressed for space. You have to make it every part of your life useful.
yeah.
It's not just your business. I mean, it's the clothes that you wear. I mean, people hang on to things either because they have 5 different sizes or, oh, well, I really love that. I mean, how many, you know, I was on a call recently and somebody told me that they had like 50 white, like a woman, she had 50 white shirts. She said, you know, she realized she really didn't need 50.
You think?
49 would have been more than enough, I would think.
You know, let's get rid of it because your likelihood is you're not using them anyway.
Right.
There's a psychological and an emotional weight to that stuff as well.
Yeah.
Yep. So
All right, well, we're going to wrap up here. Meetings
out of
start on time and
time.
end on time. We're going to, I haven't been doing this, but we should give Wendy a round of applause.
please.
We did that when we were in person. Trying to follow the trend here. I want to thank you for joining us on Chat with Matt. And anything you would like to have me announce to the group, I'm happy to do that. I just want to thank you for your time and for your many great ideas.
My pleasure.
Thank all of you for
having
joining me on Chat with Matt. Well, I'll try to come up. Now I'm going to be hard pressed to find somebody better than Wendy. So thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.